In this episode, I talked to Dania Denise. She's got 4 things going on. Busy bee, y'all. 1, she's a professional actress and model. 2, she's the founding member of a indie production company called Think Post Production. 3, she's the state director of California's Petite Pageant. And 4, she's a freehand chalk artist. That's a lot. How does she juggle it all? I don't know. That's what we talk about in this episode. I'm your host of the Work Talk podcast, John, and this podcast is where I talk to people in the Bay Area about what they do for their jobs, their business, their personal projects. So enjoy, learn, be inspired. This is guest number 15, Dania Denise. Check it out. I have with me Dania Denise, the one and only. I was a little starstruck because I saw one of her commercials that she was part of a long time ago. So instantly I broke the ice, mentioned the elephant in the room. But I'm happy to have you here, the hustler herself. Dania, if you could tell myself and the listeners about your work.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for reaching out and having me be a part of this. It's always super fun, just the whole podcast concept and connecting in this way and being able to kind of reach the masses is always super exciting. So first off, thank you. And Definitely. Thanks to everybody who is watching this and cares enough to like tune in. Thank you. Appreciate you. In a nutshell, I'm a Jill of all trades. I know that you love that term when we talked about it. Email, and it just made sense. Renaissance woman, chameleon. There's a couple more things. HBIC, boss lady. Definitely an entrepreneur at heart. Mm-hmm. So I'm just one of those people who does not do routine. It bores me to tears. And I'm so fortunate and blessed that I have many talents. And so I just really try to utilize them in a professional way that can also, help me adult and pay bills and things.
Right.
First and foremost, I'm an actor and a model. Been doing it since I was in high school. That was like 20 years. Yeah. And I say that proudly. I'm one of those women who just is never really going to shy away from saying how old I am. It's not that serious. Unless it's for a role, I'll lie about my age for a role.
Yeah. But, so she's 55, everybody. She looks good for 55.
Black don't crack. It's fine.
Yeah. Fine. Asian don't raisin, so it's all good.
Yeah. See, I'm half, so I got best of both worlds. So, and you're Filipino, right?
Shouts out. Yeah, I'm Filipino too.
Yes.
Shout out to the Pinoys Pinais.
Hey, everybody. So the entertainment industry has been a big part of my life since I was young. And then art was also always a big part of my life. As a little kid, I was always drawing. I loved comic books and, all those things. Yeah, I didn't go to art school. It just wasn't something that the older that I got and I saw how much money was involved and that it's not necessarily at the time a really reliable career path depending on what I wanted to do. So I wanted to kind of keep my art organic and just do it at home and on my own time. So I did end up using it to my advantage. And I was in corporate for 2 years with 2 different companies. And it was during the Great Recession. So I got laid off both times. And I was just like, man, I really don't do well in cubicles anyway. It's just not my environment. And
so at one point you were working a 9-to-5 job.
I was, absolutely. Because, I was realistic going into the workforce. I went to SF State for radio TV. So I'm trained as a broadcaster, like TV reporter and anchor.
Right. Same here, SF State grad.
Yeah. See, Theaters. We're everywhere. What's up, SFSU? So it was a great program. I loved my time at State. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where you go to school and you only know so much when you're in it. And then when you're in it, you learn more and you're going, man, if I'd known that in hindsight, as far as the job prospects, it's very competitive. And so I got a job in corporate outside as soon as I graduated and, okay, cool. I'm good with that. And then so I was doing the 9-to-5 and I was sneaking out and getting long lunches to attend casting calls because I knew early on that you can't just tell your boss, by the way, I'm an actor, so I'm going to go do that real quick. I understood the business world.
Yeah, and it's not their business to know. That's really your own thing.
Exactly.
As long as you're doing your job, that's fine.
Yeah. And it started to make me not be able to do my job. but that's not why I got laid off. Nothing to do with that. I did what I was supposed to do and got promoted within my position at the time. But, the layoffs happened. And it was a blessing in disguise because being unemployed during that time while I was able to build up my art business I realized how much more freedom I had, and that I wasn't stressed out trying to make it back in time to work from a casting. And I was not even doing well in the castings because I'm too busy thinking, what if someone notices I'm gone at my cubicle?
Yeah.
It just wasn't a good way to be.
Yeah.
But
I think that's interesting. You said how you got laid off. It was kind of a
yeah,
blessing in disguise. One of my past guests said the same thing, and I see articles like that. I'm not saying getting laid off is a good thing, but
no, but
sometimes there's a
it
silver
doesn't have to be
lining.
a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I started my art business, and because I grew up doing art, everyone that knows me knows I'm an artist. So it
Hmm.
didn't take long for the word of mouth and then learning how to market myself online. I
Yeah,
got traction.
specifically chalk, right?
Yeah, I started getting clients for it. As soon as people knew I did
Hey,
chalk, I don't even do any other type of art anymore. It's just the chalk art. That just sustains me.
hey,
So,
listeners, check out the chalk chica on Instagram. I was like, this is there's some stuff you did that
yeah.
I went to restaurants and I'm like, that's a pretty dope like menu made out of chalk.
Hmm.
And I saw one of your Instagram posts. I'm like, it's people like Dania that make stuff like that. You
Yeah.
had some dope stuff on there.
When they don't get lucky to have an employee that just has good handwriting, then they call in the big guns. So
Yeah, check out the chalk chica, guys. It's pretty cool.
it's a lot of fun.
So
It's
you're doing that. So after you got laid off, you went all in on the acting and the art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just kind of told myself, if I can stay afloat in the middle of a recession doing this, then I know that I have something really special. And that's pretty much in a nutshell what ended up happening. I built up my client base, and obviously I work well with people and customer service, and I'm good at what I do, and I know how to market myself. And so I've been able to maintain that. And then now I've just been a glutton for taking on more businesses,
Mm-hmm.
more entities, and I just always want to be doing something different every day, and that literally is the case. Every week never looks the same.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool. Oh, by the way, I think for the audio, I think there might be something on the mic that's like rubbing on it once in a while. Do you know what I'm talking about or no? On your
hmm,
side, anything? No.
let's find out by lifting up my laptop.
Hey, listeners, just letting you know, you may have heard some things with the audio, but Dania got her Apple earpods on, and
I
the
got it together.
audio, yeah, it sounds nicer. But in the end, as long as you're getting the information. But yeah, continue on with like your kind of journey. So now you got laid off, sucks, but you found the silver lining. You started going all in with your art, getting paid
Yeah.
for that, and acting. So, how does it eventually progress into where you are now with your other two projects, which is state director for California,
Hmm.
Petite Pageant, and founding member of Think Post Productions?
Yeah, so when I realized what a gem that I had with the chalk art, I decided to go with that. So it was kind of like, okay, I need a vehicle of some kind where the money's going to be there and it'll be able to fund all my other passion projects, especially the acting and the modeling work, and being able to take time off to go to castings, and because I have the flexibility now. And so the chalk art really afforded me that opportunity. And I literally, to this day, people always ask me, did you see yourself doing chalk art? Did you know you were going to do it to this level? And the answer is no. I had no idea it was going to be as big as it is, and that it continues to be. So
Yeah. Would you say that's a majority of your time is still the chalk art?
it was for a couple of years. This is probably the first year where I've been putting it on the back burner on
Oh,
purpose.
because you
And
got the other stuff going on.
yeah, a
Hmm.
lot of people from the outside looking in who aren't necessarily artists and don't come from that world, it's hard for them to understand, especially if they're from the business kind of corporate background, where they're like, well, you're really good at it. Why don't you do it full time? And it's like, I did it full time, and it's extremely physically demanding.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
worked 10, 12-hour days. I was working 70-hour days,
Yeah.
7 days a
It's
week.
you trading your time. It doesn't have like
Exactly.
a lot of leverage to be scalable unless you hire
Exactly.
new people or
Right.
or you take on a project where you get paid like a lot of like
Yeah.
buku money.
Those come few and far in between with certain contracts. And so I basically slaved away for about 3 years straight, just doing the chalk art, still doing acting and modeling, but nowhere near on the scale that I wanted
Yeah.
to,
And the
because I was
acting is more like commercial gigs, right?
commercial
Okay.
gig, quick stuff that I
Warriors
work with really
commercials, all that stuff.
great. Yeah, those kind of things. Just another day at the office, in front of the camera with the Warriors. Um,
I'm
but
just shouting
yeah,
it out because it's relevant at this moment.
absolutely, go Dubs. Um, I'm always available if you need me in another commercial.
Ah, I like
So
that plug.
you know what
Nice. You're really
gotta
you're
do
a
is
true marketer. You're a true business
thank
person.
you. You have to be. You have to be because no one else is doing it for me. I had
Mm-hmm.
an agent with acting and modeling ever since I was a kid, and then the last couple of years I went without an agent simply because my schedule was not conducive to them saying jump and me say how high. Now it was like jump, and I was like, could I get back to you on that because I have this other stuff. So I made the business decision to be freelance, which I was already experienced doing, finding my own work. I've been working in this market long enough and I have the wonderful connections that, I'm always getting submitted for stuff, even when I'm not the one submitting. I work with different casting
You got
agencies
some
and
momentum going on.
yeah,
You know
so
people, they've seen your work. So you may not
absolutely.
need an agent at this point. You can just do it
Yeah,
all yourself. You got your brand
right.
kind of going on.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be great to have an agent again, but right now I'm doing okay. And so it's nice to not feel like, oh, I'm missing out necessarily or that I'm somehow hurting my career, at least not at this point in time. So I was, deep in the chalk art and I was working with really great companies. I mean, I've been blessed to work with Google and The Gap and
That's cool. Those were your clients.
I
Yeah.
mean, these, and a lot of times they bring me on for projects, a couple times throughout the year. I work with Salesforce often. Every year when Dreamforce happens, I know I'm going to get slammed with like
Yeah.
projects. So
Dreamforce, that's the conference that Salesforce hosts,
yeah,
right? Every year.
yeah, every year. And every year I already know, like they'll
It
start
looks
hitting me up
bomb,
and they're
man. It looks like
like,
a party. I want to get in there.
there's always so much going on. It's like Mardi Gras for sales tech nerds. It's crazy. There's just so much money,
Yeah,
and so
there
much
is, man.
innovation. And that, I think that's really one of the things I love about being from the Bay Area in
Yeah,
general.
I think so too.
We're literally the hub of innovation, of
Hmm.
everything that people around the world are using on a daily basis. Like we're just a hop, skip, and a jump from where all these companies are, you
Exactly.
know?
I work with students at a college. We always talk about
Hmm.
opportunities. I'm like, go on Meetup or Eventbrite.com. You'll find so
Yes.
much things, and I bet you, if you're in Idaho and do that, you're not going to see it. And I mean, no,
Yeah.
I'm not saying not no hate for
We
Idaho,
love
but
you, Idaho. We love
yeah, we
potatoes.
love
All
you.
good.
But if you won't see us, there's definitely like social capital here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the benefits of it. Maybe that's why it's so expensive. But yeah, there's so much things to do here.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother podcast. But yeah, that's why I don't live out there right now. But no,
See,
so it was great, but I did get burned out. It's
okay.
very physically
Okay.
taxing. And a lot of people, the first thing they say is, what you mentioned earlier. Oh, why don't you train artists? Why don't you create a design
Yeah.
team? And I get a little frustrated with that question, but not at the people, because if, like I said, if you're not from an artistic background, that's a natural train of thought to
Hmm. Hmm.
say. But a lot of us artists, I can't speak for all the artists, but a lot of us, we are lone wolves. It's not a situation where it's like, come on, I'll train you and then you do this, because artists by nature, most of them, many of them, some of them, a number of them are flaky. I'll just put it out there. They're doing it for fun. They do it because they love it. It's a passion. A lot of them do it to pay bills, but they don't necessarily present it in such a structured business-like way, the way that I do, at least. I've had to save many clients who said, my chalk artist bailed. I've even had a
Yeah.
client who
Also,
said,
you've trained
yes.
people at one point. You try to scale your
Well, no,
business.
I've never trained anybody. I already knew that would be a disaster, but I've actually had clients contact me and go, hey, I hired a chalk artist. They disappeared,
Oh,
or
okay.
they
Okay.
take too long to get back to me. And because I've been in corporate and because I understand that business world, I understand what it's like to have art clients, but in a business setting. Like I have deposit requests, I have contracts, I have, all these things in place. And a lot of artists, they still operate on a handshake and a wink,
Right.
and
Right.
I'm not knocking my fellow artists out there. They're doing their thing. But I think one of the reasons I've been so successful with the Chalk Chica is because of how I package myself and how I market and brand myself. And it's just a matter of being dependable.
Yeah, and I
And
think a lot of artists don't have that business part. But I think when you have that business
no.
part, that's when you start monetizing. That's when you start
Yeah.
making money.
Yeah.
But not
And
every artist has both of those minds.
they don't. And, bless their heart, everyone has to do what works for them. And so I've actually been fortunate that I've have a reputation for being professional, being on time, being really good with my communication skills and understanding that I'm delivering a service. I'm not being commissioned to do a portrait and it's going to hang. Like, no, I'm working with corporations and branding and logos and things that they've spent millions of dollars on. And so I'm bringing
You got to
their vision to
deliver.
life. You
Right.
got to deliver. And I understand that. And I'm not offended by that. I'm not like, oh, bro, you're harshing on my creativity. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'm just not
It's
that
like, come
person.
on, man. You
So,
don't understand where I'm coming from. My message
yeah.
right here.
Like, you don't like this? I added a little extra. No, they just want you to draw a logo, bro. Like, what's going on? Like, so,
So then you got burnt out from all of that.
I did.
Just all the hard work. Yeah.
I was mostly burned out doing the chalk painted walls because people are now taking chalkboard paint and they're painting just their homes, they're painting offices. There's these just huge amount of wall space and they're going, create on that. And I'm going, I don't want to. Because those are like 10 to 12-hour days of just
Uh-huh.
continuously just
Okay.
climbing up and down ladders, contorting, and
Uh-huh.
it does burn you out. And I was getting cranky and I was getting unhappy. And I always told myself I don't want to do something that makes me unhappy. So I made a big change. In 2016, I decided I'm not doing chalk walls anymore. I will grandfather in previous clients. I'll continue to maintain their stuff. I'll do
You kept
special
the good
events.
ones. You kept
I
the good
did.
clients.
I did. The ones that made it worth my while. I was like, I got you. You know, you took care of me. I'm gonna take care of you. So I technically still do chalk painted walls, but I do them for my previous and current clients. I do them for special events because a lot of venues, and that's totally fine because that's like one hitter quitter, you know, and they
Mm-hmm,
plan so
mm-hmm.
far in advance. So it allows me to maximize my
Yeah, it
time
makes sense for
effectively.
you with all the other things you have going on.
It does. And I
Yeah,
also have a lot of residential clients and I love working with people because it's in their homes. It's a different setting, you know?
that's interesting.
So I do work with residential clients. And now, as far as where I stand at right now with the Chalk Chica, I mostly only specialize in weddings, special events, conferences and trade shows, you know, traveling, doing that kind of stuff. So I'm
Okay,
trying to work
okay.
smarter and not harder. So
So then you
that's
said in
kind of where it's at.
2016 something changed.
That's when I stopped offering the chalk art for the walls. Like
Mm.
I actually put it on the website. I'm even transitioning out of menus because a lot of restaurants and bars and cafes, their turnaround time is consistent. They're like, "Oh, could you
Okay,
come in each
okay.
week and change prices?" And I'm like, "No, you need to learn how to write numbers nicely." Like it's not. I
Yeah,
can't.
we have a new
I don't.
special, Dania. I need you to change
Yeah.
your chalk art.
I can't. I can't. It just got to be too difficult. And when I tell them, I don't live near you. I've got to charge you for my mileage, for my toll. And then they
For your
get
time.
mad because they're
Okay.
like, oh, wow, that's expensive. And I was like, well, then don't, like, no. So now I don't,
It's that's reasonable. Yeah,
it's,
they should understand.
as any business owner knows, you have to learn as you're progressing where to make certain difficult decisions, and could I continue to make great money doing all that? Of course, but I would basically probably put myself in a traction at an early age because
Hmm.
I'm starting to get back problems and things like that, and I try to take care of myself, and
Yes.
I get
So,
massages, work out the kinks. I'm always
mhm.
taking a break and stretching, but I'm not trying to beat myself up before I've even started.
Right, I can imagine because when I saw the pictures, those are huge walls, so it takes
They're
a lot
big.
of physical demands on you.
Yeah.
So when you started stopping to do that, when did the California Petite Pageant work
Hmm.
come in, and then when did Think Post Productions come in?
Right. The pageant thing pretty much popped off for me around 2015, basically when I won at the national level for USA Petite for the Ms. division, which is
Hmm.
MS.
Oh,
That,
so you're doing that while you're still doing Chalk Chica then,
oh
and the
yeah,
acting on the side. So you were doing kind of juggling three things.
I was definitely
Okay.
juggling it. And it worked out because at the time, I was making good enough money to where I could, afford to take care of my wardrobe and pay the entry fee and do all the prep that it takes because I had to compete in Florida because that's where it takes place. So it was
Hmm.
my first time ever going to Florida, and I was so thankful that it was because of that was the reason I was there. So I had retired, so to speak, because I had aged out at
Hmm.
26. And was always curious as I got older. I think I want to do another pageant. I wonder if I'd be any good. I didn't
Hmm.
do very well in the couple that I did because I was just doing it for fun,
So
learning
you just
along
did
the
it
way.
before, right? Okay.
Yeah, the last time before then that I had competed was in 2008 for Miss USA, Miss California USA, and had a great time. It was overwhelming. It was a huge pageant, But then after that, I couldn't enter in any other pageants because I couldn't find anything with my age group. And then in 2015, I decided, all right, let me give this another try. It was like January, like a new year, I'm thinking about new things to take on. So I said, let me just do a Google search and see what pops up. And USA Petite was like right at the top of the list. And I said, what do they mean by petite? And I'm like, oh, 5'6"
right,
and
5'6",
shorter.
6" and shorter,
oh,
yeah.
That's money. Oh, I should be on this website right now. Like it blew my mind. It was super great because not only that, they had a division for my age group because the Ms. division is 24 to 40.
Okay. I'm learning about your world right now. I have no idea
absolutely.
how it works. It's I know I respect it because whenever people are on these different shows or Miss Universe and stuff, I always hear stories about all these other things they're doing, entrepreneurial stuff. So they're up there looking pretty, but behind that is a straight hustler for real.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's also exciting for me about being a part of pageants and just being a natural kind of coach and mentor. I love to educate people. I love to inform people and open their eyes. By all means, there's more going on in the world than pageants. I'm completely aware of that. You'd be totally fine if you went your entire life not knowing anything about pageants. But what gets me is that there's still stigma. There's still negative connotations. There's still, the naysayers who think that it's holding women back or exploiting them. Or there's just people being mean. Mean people suck, first and foremost.
Fuck you, mean people.
Exactly. And I'm just not okay with people bashing something they don't know anything about. So if I can at least teach you something different, you don't have to still agree with pageants, but at least know that these women are not stupid. These are women that are pillars in their communities, because a lot of people don't realize that outside of everything you see on the televised pageant, these women are, graduating from college cum laude. They're super smart. They're running businesses. They're starting their own charities and nonprofits. And I mean, how can you be mad at that?
Yeah, and right now you're doing mentoring and coaching for them, right?
Yeah, I've been
no more competitions for you, or you still do?
Never say never.
Okay.
I have my hands full. If I found, because you can't, once you win in a particular system, you can't compete again. So I can't.
You won, right?
For USA in 2015.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Snap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suck at it, but hey.
Hey, you're doing okay.
Oh, really?
Doing all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Trying to be all
if I find a Mr. Parade, I'll have you up in it.
Mr. Petite. I'm like 5'7", 5'8", so
that's what's up.
I don't know what I have to create my own. I had to create my own division.
There you go. And that's the thing. That's what I loved about USA Petite is our national director, Hazley. She created this vehicle for us. I wouldn't have a crown and a sash. I wouldn't have my own title holders had it not been for her seeing a need in the pageant industry, at least, to create something just for us. And a lot of people, will say, well, why don't you just do the pageants that don't have height requirements? Okay, yes, that's true. A lot of the big pageants don't actually have a height requirement. However, in pageant culture, as it is in the fashion and modeling culture, they are coached to pick tall girls. In the Miss USA system alone, since it started, which was decades ago, they've only had 2 winners that were under 5'6". That's telling you something.
So it's biased toward the taller women.
It is. And that's not to take anything away from taller women, but how can you justify putting thousands of dollars and competing into a pageant when you're looking at your competition literally towering over you and knowing you're automatically the favorite?
Yeah. It's like, girl, you're too tall.
How strong I am as a competitor. If you're already doing this and you're looking at the tall girls, why am I even here? And so it was so wonderful to be at USA Petite and at California Petite and have the girls geek out, because the 5'6" girls who are like at the max, they're like, I'm an Amazon. I'm so tall. They don't know what that's like. We like talk about short girl problems and people can actually relate. And that's what I love.
Fun size. Yeah.
Fun size. So fun size. So, the being involved in the pageant, winning, and then having that year as a title holder really opened my eyes and made me fall in love with pageants all over again. And that's when I knew that I wanted to help Hazley grow the system so that we had state preliminaries.
That's when you started getting involved. Okay.
That's when I said,
Yeah.
we don't have one for California. I want to do California. And if it proves to be successful and I'm able to do it every year, I want to then acquire other states and or find people that are interested in it and train them and create kind of this vehicle, this group of state directors that really have the same goal, which is to give these women of all ages, shapes, and sizes this platform to highlight them, to celebrate them. You know, they're doing great things and they should be recognized.
And that's the work you do as the state director.
Absolutely. So it is a whole business side to it for sure. And continuing to educate people, because a lot of women, especially short women, we're told that we can't do so many things. Women in general are already told you can't do this, you can't do that. And so my job is to tell them that yes, you can. Even if pageants, you've never thought about doing a pageant as a woman, even if you've kind of been like, I don't think it'd be lame, but to at least know if you wanted to, there's a place for you, I think is really important. It gives them food for thought, especially when it comes to the married women and the women who have had kids who are literally told, this is not for you. Yes, it can be, because that's what USA Petite's all about.
Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit into Think Post Productions.
Yep.
And that's your current venture right now, right?
Yeah, definitely. Aside from doing the pageants, once I slowed down with the Chalk
by the way, I feel like if there's a
had...
listener listening to this, they're like, gee, it's like one after another. You're like a short story of like different things going on. Yeah.
Even my parents get exhausted. I'm like, I have a whiteboard and I write my schedule down each week because they just know not to ask me, because they'll go, oh, well, blah, blah, and they're like, oh, I'm tired. And I go, oh, just check the whiteboard. Like, you know, it's my daily planner up there.
Yeah.
But
keeps you on track.
The cool thing that I noticed with once I stepped back from the Chalk Chica and was doing it still, but in a smaller capacity, I had more time to be present on social media, to go on casting calls and auditions and get jobs and then document that. And then, of course, you know, the more activity you do, the more you pop up on people's radars. And it was amazing because I think within a month, of kind of changing my workflow, I was getting people contacting me going, hey, I saw your profile show up on blah, 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 blah. Hey, I've got this project. Hey, you popped up. And so people were finding me because I was making myself visible. When I'm just in my chalk art world and I'm not doing anything else anywhere, nobody knows I exist in that realm. Right. So that was really prophetic for me. So I said, okay, I need to really just start doing the social media thing. And so the acting stuff started taking off, and then the modeling stuff started taking off, and I was getting back into that world that I really love.
And those two really link together with the acting, the production company.
Yeah, it definitely overlaps. And I had been a part of 2 different small production companies, and, you know, everybody is so different, and those petered out for one reason or another, which happens a lot. So I actually was brought on board Adulting by Alex Acosta, who's one of my business partners at
I want to check out that show for real. When I was reading about it, I was like, this is cool. And I was talking to Manuel, who referred you to me.
That's the project where we showed up, and I didn't know he was going to be part of it till a little bit last minute. So I was like, oh, dope. I'm with people that I know.
By the way, I want to do a quick shout out to Manuel. Manuel is the one who referred Dania to me, and he was my guest number 3, but he referred 2 other guests to me too. So I just want to give a weird shout out to Manuel. That Manuel, if you're listening to this right now, Manuel Camacho, if you're listening to this right now, I want you to stop. I want you to take a picture of your face. I want to see your reaction of me literally calling your name and send it to Dania and I. I want you to stop right now. Manuel, if you are listening to this, please stop, take a picture, send it to Dania and I. This is how we're going to really find out if Manuel listened to this podcast.
This is how you know, calling you out on it. Could have done this years ago, but with technology, man, we can track you, buddy. We can track you.
But go ahead.
What's up, Manny?
Talk about Adulting. Yeah.
So Adulting was great. I was just an actor on that project, but I knew Alex similar to how I knew Manny. We did a commercial years ago, and there's always kept in touch. And so we kept tabs on each other's projects, and he told me about Adulting about a year before we actually started going into production. So I knew that the project was there and was very excited when he finally reached out and pulled the trigger and was letting people know, hey, you know, we're doing a table read. You know, it all became real. And then we shot the pilot episode, and that was a lot of fun. And so I kept in touch with Alex at that time, just off and on. And then he connected with Robert Carrera, who's our other business partner. And they actually known each other for quite some time, going back to like elementary school years. And So Alex said, me and Rob wrote this movie together called The Run. It's a short film, and I want you to play the lead. I'm in the lead. I'm one of the lead actors too, and I want you to play. You'd be like my love interest kind of a thing. I was like, yeah, dope. So showed up.
I think you put a little. There's a commercial of that on your Instagram or something.
Yeah,
it's kind of scary, right?
No, that's The Horde. That was actually a short horror film. Yeah, The Run is like a mafia style kind of action film, and we actually are submitting it to film festivals right now. So we had it on YouTube, but it's technically still there, but we just made it private because sometimes the film festivals, don't want it published, so to speak. But we did do a screening for it last year in December, and had people, friends and family come out and watch it, and had a great time. So that was a lot of fun, and that's when I first met Rob, because he wrote it and directed it, and then Alex and I were in it along with a great cast: Mike Betancourt, David Driscoll, Raphael Siegel.
All these shout outs, giving all these love to these people.
Gotta give love.
Manny,
gotta give Nick Napolitano,
Alex.
Everybody that was a part of it,
Everyone, take a picture of your face and send it to Dania and I,
just,
please.
Give us a big face collage, And
I really can't wait to see this if people do it.
It's gonna be money. It's gonna be so money. And I'm just like super excited about that. I really am. Yay! Selfies all day. So it was really with Adulting that kind of spearheaded my connection with Alex and Rob, and then on set of The Run, I met Amit, who ended up being our founding member. There's 4 of us. And he was our director of photography. So he did the camera work and everything on The Run. And our time shooting that project was so amazing. My cat's getting into my... Hey! Being famous right now. Stop messing things up in my room.
Oh, so you have a cat and a dog.
I'm a pet mom to the fullest. What's up, pet moms and dads?
That's a 5th thing to add on your belt.
Definitely.
You're basically a pet. You're a mama.
I am. I'm mother to all. What can I say? So, but yeah. So, I got started with The Run, and then Amit and Rob and Alex. Yeah. We realized what we had there. This group, the way we worked together, and the fun that we had. And with anything, it is work. All of us, we were pulling really long hours. Right. Our call times were super early.
Yeah, you guys were just vibing
along the way. And it was funny because we still talk about it now. We look back on it and we go, each day of production, someone had a bad day. We were like, someone's pissed off. But
that must be really fun, acting and having a cast who you work with really closely, and you just form that weird bond together. I mean, I'm not an actor, but when I watch things like Friends and I see like bloopers, and it's like, I want them to see them get together. It's like, it's kind of cool. Like they have this really good friendship. I don't know about the Friends cast. I'm not going to go into that, but you know what I mean? Like just seeing casts get together, and they're like, man, I remember all those days we spent together. It's a real cool bonding experience. So you guys had that. You guys were really jiving, and so I'm gonna make an assumption that from there you guys were thinking, let's start our own production company.
We did. We did the short film, and then we premiered it. And I know that because we all had, fun outside of work. We would get together and have drinks, or we'd have dinner. We would, text each other. And we were just thinking to ourselves, I remember, I think one night we were actually all looking at each other, and Rob's like, are we going to do this? Is this going to be a thing? And I was like, are we going to be a production company? And then Alex was like, what are we going to call ourselves? And then we just kind of went and just said, okay, we're going to be a production company. And so, in that sense, it's not formalized. We're not an LLC or anything like that. We are just a group of filmmakers and friends that, we have these great stories that we want to tell. We want to do it on location within our respective communities. We shoot on location a lot. We have people that are super supportive. We've shot in people's homes. We've shot in restaurants and bars, and people who get what we're trying to do.
What's that whole process like? Do you have to get licenses?
It's
Do you
stressful.
Just ask permission?
It's not stressful when you know people. It definitely is about who you know. And we're really fortunate that Alex in particular, we shoot a lot of our projects in the Brentwood, Antioch area. Okay. And he is a bartender out there. And so he is in the community. Like, it's a small town. So everybody knows him. Right. He knows people. So instantly when we were scouting locations for The Run, he said, well, I got the Mannheim Social Club. I know the owners. And the owner, Larry, hi, Larry. He loved...
Shout out to Larry, take a photo.
Larry, Mannheim Social Club.
Yes, Larry, take a photo. Also send it to Dania.
Larry, don't be a stranger. I know where you work. It was really cool because even when you get, licensing and stuff like that and permits, we haven't had to deal with so far because we're working directly with the business owners. But sometimes, this didn't happen in our case with Larry, but sometimes you get people who are super excited, but then they get very intimidated because you show up with all your equipment and your lights, and then they're going, oh my gosh, they get into panic mode and they get anxious. And then you kind of get worried because you're going, okay, they were on board in the beginning, but are they still going to be cool with us now? And then, so it's always really touch and go with certain businesses. But thankfully, Larry completely embraced us. He fed us. They gave
That's
us,
cool.
food and
Shout out to
drink.
Larry.
And he told us, he's like, anytime you need to shoot here, anytime, we even did our screening there for the run. So we got a projector screen and we set it up, and, it was so overwhelming to have that kind of love and support from the community. So, I grew up in Fairfield, and I've scouted locations out here, and I've brought people on projects, and it's fun to be able to shoot and bring people on board that you work with, that you're friends with, that you respect, and be supported by people that get what you're trying to do and they want to see you succeed.
That's neat, getting all those people together. And I think that's a big difference between just acting and working for a production company, but then owning your own production company. You have to do the finding the set, you have to do finding the cast, writing the scripts too. You guys do all that?
Yeah, we do. One of the things we've kind of done is we kind of say, okay, at least in the beginning, I don't know, each of us has had stories that we wanted to tell. And then so kind of go around the table like, all right, what are you pitching today? And kind of the equation for us is we either need to be always shooting something, writing something, brainstorming something, or editing something. We always want to have something in the pipeline, because that's how you keep your team fresh. That's how you keep everybody on the ball.
By the way, I think it would be awesome if you guys had a vlog.
Oh, we've talked about
showing behind the scenes, like you telling me about how you guys get together, talking about this idea, and you're starting your own production company. Like, I would love to just see those moments when you guys are like sitting around at the bar, having a drink, trying to figure out whose place could be shoot at. Oh, Tony's. You guys go to Tony's.
Right.
I mean, it's extra work. You don't have to.
No,
but if you did,
honestly, we're incorporating something similar where we're really stepping up our social media game, because we want to do more behind the scenes videos, because we're, oh my gosh, we're such clowns on set. And I'm the only girl in the sausage party. So I hold it down where I'm just like, these fools, but it totally works, but yeah, no, we definitely are going to be doing a lot more behind the scenes videos and just showing people just how much fun we have, but also how much work goes into it. And speaking of which, our next production is a short horror film called The Date. And that's going to be shooting in production this weekend, where it's going to be an overnight shoot. So we're starting at like 8:00 at night and going till about 3 or 4 in the morning. So we're going to be walking through the location. It's going to be shot at a house in a residence in Antioch. So Friday, we're doing what's called the walkthrough. Is we're going to literally, take the script and the shot list and start setting up, okay, this is where we would shoot this, and what are logistics looking like. We have to do it at night because we have to try to mimic what the shooting environment is going to look like, and figuring out what the lights are going to be set up, and basically doing all the pre-production so that when we start shooting on Saturday, all those kinks have been worked out, and we'll leave all the equipment up, in place, so that we literally just come back the next day. And I'm really excited about that one, because my protege, Jennifer Smith, is actually starring in it along with another actor who was in The Horde, which is the other scary one that we had showed. But he had a mask on, so you couldn't really recognize him. But Emilio, they're going to be starring in this. And I will be not on camera, which is great, because I'm going to be doing everything else. I'll be doing
directing,
production assistant. Rob's going to be directing it.
Okay.
Alex is the producer on it. I'll be doing a lot of the production assistant work. I'll be script supervisor, mama bear, make sure everybody's getting fed and that they have everything they need. So that's going to shoot this weekend, and that's really exciting.
That's fun.
And as far as adulting goes, we actually I'll be posting a Facebook invite link, letting everybody know about it. And of course, you're welcome to come, bring the wife. We're going to be screening the pilot episode of Adulting on Saturday, June 9th in downtown Antioch.
I feel so special.
7 to 9. Oh yeah. And it's free to the public. We want everybody to show up, and, the details and everything will be posted on the Facebook.
I really think it's a cool concept. I'm just really into the whole adulting.
Yes.
I think that's why I work at a college, because I'm at the fork in the road where everyone is adulting, right? And I think that's why I do like this Work Talk podcast, because it's that transition point into adulting. So I'm a big fan of that concept. Well, I was talking to Manuel told me a little bit about the storyline of adulting.
Yeah.
But I want to watch it. I think it's really cool.
It's fun. It's a ragtag team of people. people, with ensemble casts, it's always, tricky in terms of shooting and logistics. But, we shot this a year ago or so, and now to be able to watch it come to fruition, it's going to be exciting for
Wow. So that's
everybody
how long it
who's been waiting
took.
for
You
it.
guys shot it a year ago.
We did. And
Wow.
we had hoped to have it done sooner, obviously, but there are always delays working with different editors, getting the footage, it not being right. You don't want to rush it, but at the same time, you're always thinking, are people still going to care? Is this taking a certain amount of time? Or is it still going to matter? But the great thing is people have known about this project for so long, and they've literally just been like anticipating it. So even though they were like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? They understood that it would be better that it happened this way than us to put out a crap product and then go, oh God, they don't know what they're doing.
Take your time on it.
Can't rush greatness.
Yeah. Hey, talking about acting, I'm just trying to get a grasp of all the things you've done. You've done a lot of commercial stuff, but stuff like Adulting, that's like a TV series.
Yeah.
You've done some of that. You've done short films, right?
Yeah, I've done.
And that's like the spectrum of all your different acting gigs, right?
Pretty much. I mean, there's also industrials, which a lot of people aren't really aware of if they're not in the acting industry. And industrials are basically, for lack of a better word, like training videos. They're not used for broadcast publicly, but they're used internally in companies. But I mean, that can be everything from, Google to, just big name companies. The videos that you see.
I know what you mean, because I have to watch these videos at work too. Someone's like, welcome to... Yes. Like, this is how you use your computer. I'm like, oh, okay.
Anybody that works at the DMV in California, I'm in the video talking about the donor program for organ donation. And
shout out to DMV employees, trained by Dania.
I haven't seen it, so let me know how it is. I mean,
you really don't see a lot of your work. That's what Manuel said too. Or I was talking to another person, like, you don't even know when they post it sometimes.
No, but I will say, and again, this is all about Love Fest here. Lori Loeb I hope I said her last name right. It's funny because I've never met her in person. So Lori Loeb, but Lori from AE Casting, I hope you don't hate, because Lori, you love me and I love you too. So Lori from AE Casting is one of the biggest hustlers I've seen. She has a casting agency called AE Casting out of Santa Rosa. And she is the type of casting agent where not only does she, put you out there and submit projects for you, and once you book them, she chases down the footage. She makes sure that you see your stuff. Yes. And she has by far been one of the most amazing people I've had the opportunity to network with, because the majority of the commercials that you've seen me in, and even the Warriors commercial, like, I got that through Lori. The regional commercials that happen, that you
Shout
see.
Out to Lori.
That's all
Who is this
her and her team. Hero? I don't know, but it was so funny. The one chance that I had to meet her in person, like, I couldn't make it. And it's just like, you're like a phantom. It's just, we keep missing each other. Like,
okay, Lori, if you're listening to this podcast, take a picture of yourself right now and send it to Dania and I.
We need you. And again, I apologize if I said your last name wrong. Most people can't say my first name right, so I get it. But, nothing personal. Dania. But again, a lot of people do, they see my name, but unless they watch a video where I've said my name, they won't know how to say my name. So hopefully she'll forgive me.
I thought it was Dania at first, and then I heard
a lot of people do. Dania. Yeah. They think it's Dana, and I just don't know how to spell my own name. Surprised. They think it's Diana, and again, I don't know how to spell. It's Dania. It's Dania. Some people say Dania. Whatever is easier, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
hey, let me put this all together, because I want to.
Good luck.
No, yeah, because I'm like juggling. So let's talk. Now we have an idea of all four of your main projects. Mm-hmm. Right now, which one's your baby?
Oh, I would have to say California Petite, simply because it's not just me anymore. I have four wonderful. To this, like, yeah, I know. Let's see. Esmeralda Rios, Kayla Burton, Irina Kay, and Tanisha Smith. Those are my ladies, my teen, my Miss, my Ms, and my Mrs. California Petites for this year.
I saw you post. They're on Sacramento. They're on a TV. They did a TV thing.
Yeah. We had so much fun. And I mean, that's just the beginning, So and Jennifer Smith, my protege, who's also my co-director, she stepped up, and she was my right hand, when I was emceeing on the stage. She and her mom, Nadia, were holding it down in the back and just making sure everything was going the way it was supposed to. So I certainly couldn't have done it without the team behind me and all of my friends and family that came out to support. But I would say, Think Post and the Pageant are neck and neck. The only reason I would say that the pageant is a little bit above is, again, because it's not just about me now. I have these 4 young women who are depending on me and my team to give them this experience that they've never been on before. And we have a lot of responsibilities and duties to them. And I just want to give them a memorable year. And then I also, in turn, want to continue to inspire and motivate other young ladies to sign up for next year, you know?
Yeah. Out of those 4 4 projects, is
Mhm.
there a moment you were really proud of that you could share with myself and the listeners?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've had
I know it's like a
moments.
big one. Like,
I
I think
know.
I should tell people ahead of time that I'm going to ask them to tell me a story.
Yeah, you jerk. Didn't prepare me. No, just kidding. Just kidding. It's all love.
I know I'm so not good at preparing people. Yeah,
But then it's more candid. Again,
Yeah,
we don't
exactly.
want it to be rehearsed.
Yeah, I want it to be like that unplugged conversation kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you need 5 minutes just thinking, you
You
can have
know,
5 minutes of
could
silence.
could I kind of cheat that and say what memorable experience I had for each one,
All
as
right, yeah,
opposed to
go
like
ahead.
one overall one?
Yeah, give all of them some love.
Okay. So for the chalk art, um, my memorable experience for that was flying to New York for the first time, because a company believed in me enough and my talent enough to say, hey, hop on a plane. We want you to draw and provide, chalk art and signage for our event.
And it's New York. That's awesome.
And it's New York. I
I
mean,
know. Geez.
who flies somebody across the country to know that my reputation had preceded me in that sense, and that people respected my craft and my skill set to bring me there, and then to get there and everybody's like, Chalk Chica, and I'm like, I don't know you people, what's going on? And they're just like, yeah, I'm such a fan. I'm like, there's fans. People are fans of my work. Like, that was really
That's a
great
good
to me,
feeling.
because I'm sitting there and I'm looking out at my hotel room, just going, my art brought me here, like, that's amazing
That's
to
a
me.
good feeling.
So
Yeah.
it was a wonderful feeling, and it made me feel really valued and appreciated. With the pageant, there was a lot of really great, rewarding memories, but I think probably the best one has been the love that I've gotten from the women who have participated in it, and their emails to me saying, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to come back next year. It's because of you that I was able to even have this experience, and just, thank you. And it's just, I'm not normally an emotional person, but being a part of California Petite has damn near brought me to tears almost every time I think about it, because my heart is just so full of love and appreciation for all of these people, not just the contestants, but the people on my team and our sponsors and our partners, and the people that have, like, really just said, oh, you're a part of it. Oh, boom, I'm on board. What do you need?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Getting the feeling of knowing that you gave value to somebody else is,
Yeah,
it's like addicting. Like, when
it's
you're helping someone else. There's
there's
purpose
no
in
greater
life. Yeah,
reward.
I think purpose in life has a strong tie to helping others.
Absolutely. And that's what it should be about. So that was fantastic. And then with the acting, that's been rewarding all the time, but recently, because people are kind of just seeing, like, hey, you're good at this, like, yeah, you do commercials, but now that I'm getting more into, like, deeper roles and more challenging roles, and even certain darker roles, and then doing the rehearsals, and just literally losing myself in a character, and then I kind of step outside of myself and go, okay, you can actually pat yourself on the back. You did really good with that. Like, you should keep doing this, So that's been really rewarding.
That's cool. Where can people see some of your work? Your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff on the YouTube page. With Think Post Productions is definitely where a lot of the more exciting projects, I think, are, simply because they are short films. They're not just commercials or, like, kind of quick flyby, cameo type things. So we are actually really focused on film festival submissions this year. So there may not be a lot of content on there right now, but that's because we're trying to get in on that level and get some leverage. we're going really small, really local film festivals, try to get, maybe some awards, some kind of recognition, because the goal is to get investors and to show people like, hey, we do these projects and tell these stories on a shoestring budget. Can you imagine the damage that we can do if you give us some money? So but yeah,
That's the next
definitely
phase.
follow us on the social media, especially with Think Post Productions. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We are shooting a lot this summer. So we're going to do a lot of really fun behind the scenes stuff. We'll be rehearsing, and shooting and in production and editing, and you'll get to see that journey with us. But
Right, right.
YouTube's a great place. But again, just following the Facebook page is where, and Instagram is where a lot of the more current, stuff is going to be announced.
Right, right. Okay. Thanks for sharing some of those stories. I think that's a good snippet. Now, let me ask this.
Mhm.
A lot of my listeners, they like hearing my podcast and all the great things happening, but I got a lot of people asking feedback, wanting me to ask you guest,
Yeah.
what about the bad times? What about
Oh,
the
that's a whole
times
nother
when you
podcast.
when things aren't going well, like when you're
Yeah.
not feeling motivated to work on your
Hmm.
project?
Yeah.
Like, could you tell me about like could you tell me about some times when things weren't working well and what happened?
Absolutely. As much success as you enjoy,
Yeah, unless you're perfect, unless like no mistakes
no
at
such
all,
thing.
dating a
No,
hundred
that's
percent.
in Photoshop. I'm perfect, but Photoshop can change me. But no, I'm one of those people where I feel that rejection should be a part of your life because it helps you appreciate your successes that much more. I was not. I've lived a very good life. My parents have provided for me. I come from a very solid, stable. I've
Mm.
always had a home. I've always had clothes on my back. I've
Good
always had.
Filipino mom.
Yes, Asian moms be like, you know what I mean? Like, don't even get me started. It's about to be like a Joe Coy up in here. So, I've had, in that sense, I've had it good. However, we were not rich. My parents worked very hard. I've worked jobs throughout high school. I made my own money. I've always been independent and I've always hustled. I've always just been that person who's been so motivated because I don't expect people to give me anything. And I like knowing that I've worked for what I've had,
Hmm, hmm.
and so when I was starting off with my art business, I was undercharging because I was scared of, people not wanting to hire me because I was charging too much. And it took a lot of trial and error. It took a lot of clients who took advantage, for lack of a better word, of my skill set and my time. And I'm sitting here, bleary eyed in the middle of the night working on a project going, why did I only make this much on this? So that was stressful.
Mm. Working
Being
so hard, not making
Working
that much
so
money.
hard. Yeah. And
Okay,
then, having that confidence in myself to say, okay, no, I'm bumping up my rates because I deserve it. And then having people question that or not want to work with me
that
and
was
having
hard.
to deal with that. It was hard. Luckily, it didn't last too long because I was like, you know what? I'm awesome. Look at my work. It was one of those times where I could toot my own horn because it's like, not just anybody can do this. You came to
Mm.
me. I didn't come to you,
Yeah, maybe starting charging cheap and then
Mm-hmm.
just doing the work
Yeah.
build up your confidence to want to up your price.
It
Yeah.
did. I
Mm.
mean, I looked back on my body of work and how I was getting better. The more each project that I do, I get a little bit more refined and I do things a little differently. And then I'm going, you know what? No, I can actually walk away from you because your negativity right now is a huge red flag.
Hmm.
I've had people nickel and dime me. I've had people try to sit there and tell me that, well, so and so charges this much. I'm like, well, then go call them,
Hmm.
and so
Hmm.
it's awkward to have
I
those
like that. You got that
conversations.
sassiness,
I
Dania.
had to, where I was just like, I don't want to be that person, but to be on top, you kind of have to be because otherwise, people, you give an inch, they'll take a mile.
Right.
And, as far as rejection and horror stories go, being in the industry in general, in modeling and acting, rejection
Mm.
is part of your resume. So I was always getting rejected. I was always too short or I wasn't ethnic enough. Can you make your hair into an afro? And I'm like, no, because I'm Asian. And, and just being treated as a statistic and as kind of like, not a person.
That's
There's an
interesting. Yeah.
aspect of the industry that
Oh
comes with
yeah,
that.
acting. I would assume so much rejection, so much.
Yeah,
That's why I think I was reading I was on your Instagram and I made a comment to someone that I have a lot of respect for actors because it takes a lot to
it
do it.
does.
You have to
Yeah.
know how to eat shit. and keep
Yeah.
going and keep going.
Absolutely. And because if you don't, you're not going to survive. You're just
Yeah.
not. You can still be sweet as pie and be nice to people, but if you don't know how to just get over not getting a role, and if you're just
Yeah.
going to like, bitch and moan about something and just throw yourself a pity party, it's going to be a party of one for a really long time, and your career is not going to progress. And at
Yeah.
the same time, nothing's going to be given to you. Roles aren't just handed to you, at least not at this level.
Right.
I haven't made it,
Do you think you
to
built
that
that
level.
confidence because you started acting so young?
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, you literally are taught to sell yourself, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. And I knew early on that when I wasn't picked for something, what I tell myself to this day, when I go to an audition or I go to a casting and I walk out, if I felt good about my performance, it doesn't matter if I didn't get it, because I know they made that decision not because I didn't do
Mm.
a good job. It was literally because of whatever many other factors that I cannot control.
That's
And once
good.
I
That's a good
really
mindset to have. Yeah.
I,
But
I
how?
think that's
When
my
did you
best
get it?
piece
Did
of
you get it like
advice.
right away, or did it take a bunch of? Did you have moments when you auditioned and you didn't get it, and you're like crying your ass off, and you're like,
Yeah. You
I
know,
want to quit. You ever have those moments?
I never wanted to quit, but I gave myself permission to be human. If I had to cry about it, I cried about it. But then I knew, okay, I'm not going to let this get me down, because then I'm not going to be prepared for whatever the next role or the next project is. I know that I'm talented. I know that I'm capable. I just need the right people to hire me for those jobs,
Mm.
and that's all I care about. Not the people who didn't pick me for one reason or another. So it I guess I built that thick skin early on. And then that helped me not only continue to tell myself that every day, because I'm still submitting for stuff to this day that I won't get picked for. That's just the nature of the
Yeah.
beast.
So
But now that,
Dania at this day still experiences rejection, but the
oh yeah, my
difference
skin
is
is so
now
thick.
you just rub it
It's
off. Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
always
always
other
believe like
projects.
yeah, people who don't have the mindset, rejection happens, they're sad for 3 days. People who are
Hmm.
successful, they're sad for 3 seconds.
Exactly. You get
Yeah.
over it because you have to. You can't afford to be stuck in your own pity party. And the hardest thing for me about acting is that when you audition for something and you get sides, which are your little, script that you have to memorize and perform, you actually take time to know that character. And then you fall in love with that character, and then you audition. And then if you don't get it, oh,
Oh yeah.
it's
So you put your
such a
heart into it.
bummer.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer,
I can
and it
imagine
sucks.
that.
I actually, I know you said we're not technically on a time limit, but it just reminded me of like the
Yeah,
bad
fuck time.
side of
I'm sure
things.
we're like 3 hours in. I don't know, but it's all good. We're like I'm
We're having
feeling it.
fun
We're
because we're
vibing.
waiting. We're waiting for people to send us their selfies.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I remember probably my biggest heartache as an actor was I was auditioning for a feature film, and it was super cool. The premise of it was I was playing an artificial intelligence like hologram chick interacting with this
That's
guy, very
badass. Yeah.
very like Tony Starkish, where he's like getting ready to premiere this software, this person, and she ends up kind of going a little haywire. She does all these different characters, a lot of CGI stuff. It was super, super cool. So I auditioned, I studied my ass off, reading the sides and memorizing the lines. And I went for the audition and had such a good rapport with the casting director and the people that were, I was auditioning in front of. And I could just tell, I was like, okay, cool. Like we get along. It's really great. They gave me good feedback. And they said, okay, we'll be in touch because we're going to do several rounds. We're going to literally do a process of elimination. Those are definitely the most physically taxing, because it's not like, oh, one audition, maybe you get one callback, a second chance, and then you get picked, or like just one audition and then you get the role. This is like, they told us, they're like, we're going to be auditioning several rounds of people because we really, really want to get the right
Okay,
casting
I
for
get it.
this.
Yeah. So it's
So
intense.
it was very intense.
Yeah, intense
So then
audition.
yeah. And then they told me, okay, great. You got the second audition. Here's the date and the time that you need to be here by. Well, I had to do artwork, which is completely unrelated to being on camera. So like my hair is up and I'm, it's like a 10-hour job, and I got there super early and I'm just rushing. I'm trying to do all this stuff, and I still have to do my hair and I have to do my makeup, and I was running late, and you never run late for anything when it
Oh
comes
my
to the
gosh.
entertainment
Yeah.
industry. So I'm sweating bullets. I'm like, I'm not going to make it there in time. I'm emailing them, calling them, hey, I'm on my way. Please, push my audition time back. I'm so, so sorry. They were
Fuck.
cool,
At
but I
that
was like,
moment, you're probably like
it's not cool.
stressing out. Oh my god,
My
bonkers.
mind was like gone, and I didn't even have time to like do my hair. So I had this headscarf on, and I was like, F it, I'm just going to wear the headscarf. Like they saw my hair before. Like I was just like, I just have to make it there. I just have to get there. And so they were like, oh, wear like a dress or some kind. They didn't know what kind of dress to wear. So I just brought a dress. So I'm like breaking the speed limit, which is not okay. But I was like, I'm gonna make it. I want this role. Like I got this. I deserve this. This is my role. I'm fighting for this role. I get there and I'm like I sweated all my makeup off. It was horrible. Did all the makeup, sweat it all off because I was frantic. And then I get there and I'm like trying to breathe, trying to slow down. They knew I was there. They had a couple other actors in front of me buying time. I was like, cool, cool. So I get in the room. And first I apologize profusely. And I'm like, my makeup is like this and my hair, I'm so sorry about how I look. And they're like, oh no, you look very exotic. Like it's fine. And I was like, no, but it's not okay. And but because I'd had the rapport with them from the first audit, they said, you look exotic. Like, I'll take that as a good thing. And so, so I'm focused. We do the read again. And then they're like, okay, great, awesome. We're going to do another round of callbacks, but we're going to do it on Skype this time. And I'm just like, okay, cool. I mean, I went through so much to get to this audition. So then at a later date and time, they did the Skype audition and there was like 2 people on it and we're reading the sides and I had to do different impersonations because this character morphs into different characters. So I'm nailing that. There's one where she turns into Marilyn Monroe. And so they're like, oh, you have to do a Marilyn Monroe voice. And so like I did research. I'm listening to her interviews. I'm watching her performances. I'm mimiking like all this on my side, time.
Could you give us a little taste?
Absolutely not, because it was terrible. It was not okay. But I at that time I felt like I got it okay. I was like pretty good. And I was so wanting this role that I told myself if I get it, I was looking up Marilyn Monroe impersonators to like get coached to like really get into those characters because that's how committed I was to this role.
In. Yeah.
I was all in.
So what happened?
They auditioned me on Skype and they said I did okay. And then they said, with the Marilyn Monroe thing, they were like, could you probably work on that a little bit more to like make it a little bit more solid? But the funny thing was the Marilyn Monroe was 2 lines of dialogue in the whole script. But I was like, okay, well, you're at round like 3 or 4. They're going to be picky. So I said, okay, I'll work on it. Then we scheduled another Skype and I did it all over again. And they're like, okay, great. We're down to the last couple of actresses. We'll be in touch with our final decision.
I'm getting nervous just listening to this.
I know. They finally email me and they're like, we loved having you audition. We have an actress that we're going to hire. But it was shooting up here in Northern California. They said, but she lives and works in LA and she wants to do the project. So we're going to hire her for the role. But she did let us know that there's a chance that if something better, they literally told us, if something better comes along, that she would back out from this project. So that being said, would you be her understudy? And I was like, no.
Not
doing that. Because they were like, yeah, you'd have to show up. I wouldn't get paid, not even that it was about that, but it's the principle of the thing. They're like, yeah, and in my head, all I could think of was I threw a bitch fit, not in front of them. I did it afterwards. But I thought to myself, first of all, you have a chick who lives all the way in LA who actually told you that your project clearly isn't that important because if another thing comes along, she's dropping you. You're going to give her the role when I'm right here. And you saw all the hoops that I jumped through and that I really wanted this role. And you think that I'm going to be okay with being the backup plan and that I'm supposed to be like an understudy and like go to all the rehearsals and dedicate my time. I was so insulted. Like, I just could not believe it. I was devastated.
You pulled a Jerry Maguire.
It was crazy. I mean, and everything happens for a reason because I literally responded back and I said, I was, of course, very professional about it. And I said, thank you for the opportunity. I said, actually, I just booked a role on a web series. So I'm going to be tied up with that. So, and it was true. So I wasn't lying.
You found another success after.
I found something else.
You moved on. And I think that's the big difference. A lot of people experience that and it's over. They quit or they take a long layoff, but you kind of continue right on.
You have to. I don't know how to work with people who are just so quick to give up. Even if you've been at it for a year or 2, guess what? That's what it takes. You have to keep grinding. And if you're going to stop and complain every step of the way because you still haven't made it yet, this is not for you. And I hate to say that, but it's like, then I can't even help you at that point. There's some people I coach and mentor where they're defeated. They give up. And I go, well, then that's where this relationship should probably end because I'm not going to sit here and give you a pep talk every single time. Like tough love.
Strong mind.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Let me wrap this up with a final question. I think in the end, your label is
Everything.
Entrepreneur. Yeah, everything. Jill of all trades. This podcast be broken up into 4 pieces: artist, actress,
mini-series.
pageant, production.
Yeah.
So entrepreneur in general, I think that's your status.
Yes.
And then in badass hustler and all that stuff. And I think it's just been grown since the beginning. You just had that mindset, that confidence. You've experienced rejection, but you've learned how to eat shit and keep going, which is great.
Yes.
If someone wants to be an entrepreneur too, or work on anything that requires a lot of work ethic and stuff like that, what advice would you give them?
Do it for the right reasons. Don't go in with stars in your eyes and with the kind of expectations that the world owes you something. The world doesn't owe you anything. And you shouldn't place expectations on other people. Place them on yourself. Be your biggest cheerleader, but also be your biggest critic, and balance that and know what you want. Truly know what you want and be okay with failing, because you're going to. And I kind of feel like you should if you really want to know what success feels like.
Bam. Fire at the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this was fun. Really appreciate it. Dania Denise, the great, the one and only Jill of all trades. Really appreciate your time. And listeners, check her out. Check out her page. Check out her stuff. It's all in my description, wherever place you're watching this. See the work she's doing. One of the 4, or all 4 of the things she's doing. Check out the work Think Post Productions is doing. And not only that, but she's a really dope human being. And I appreciate you taking a sliver of your busy time. So
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for caring enough to create a podcast to spotlight people like us that are the movers and the shakers. We all appreciate it. And anyone who wants to be a guest, you should, because John is awesome.
I love it.
You put the awe in awesome. You like that? You like that? That's just for you.
I think I could die now. I'm done, guys.
Good night, everybody.